The story about Trump going to the Libertarian Conference, he actually said to them, look, I am totally against central bank digital currencies. I don't want to see it. He wants America to be the cryptocurrency capital of the world as well. And he also, more recently in the last week, basically made the point that, he believes there should be a Bitcoin strategic reserve as a game changer to protect America and its financial reserves, rather than having, the sort of central bank. It sounds like he wants to get rid of the American Federal Reserve, which is kind of an interesting, comment to make.
It's an interesting story to follow, that's for sure. But I sent you something on our messages. It's called the Bitcoin Act 2024. It's a fantastic image to actually bring up for people to understand what we're talking about here and just to help digest it. But essentially, there's a piece of legislation that is most likely going to be put forward when the government gets formed on January 20th. President-elect Donald Trump is putting forward a very pro-Bitcoin cabinet at the moment. So he's electing Howard Lutnick into his cabinet as well. Selected Howard Lutnick into his cabinet, and this guy is very pro-Bitcoin. Right, and he's going to be looking after the commerce and a bit of Treasury Department as well. So this is really insane stuff. Senator Loomis, who I believe is in the senator for Wyoming, she's put forward the Bitcoin Act that we've brought up on screen.
Right.
And that kind of stuff is actually cool. So what you're going to see is the stabilization of Bitcoin as money and Bitcoin as a sovereign reserve asset for the U.S. government to be able to, I guess, bring back confidence to the US dollar, essentially.
Well, let me read this out. So, step 1, establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve, establish decentralized network of secure Bitcoin storage facilities distributed across America. Step 2, Bitcoin purchase program, purchasing 200,000 Bitcoins per year for 5 years. So eventually, obviously, 1 million Bitcoin in total, and hold it for a minimum 20 years. That is a huge stabilization thing. Number 3, proof of reserve system. Publish quarterly reports audited by independent third party and cryptographic attestation. Step 4 is consolidate current holdings, all Bitcoin held by the agencies to be transferred to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Step 5 is voluntary state participation. States can participate voluntarily by depositing to/withdrawing from segregated accounts. Step 6, offsetting costs. The first $6 billion of the Federal Reserve's net earnings each year will go to the SBR. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, I'm assuming?
Yes, correct.
And step 7 is protect Bitcoin property rights, affirms rights of self-custody. U.S. government can't seize or confiscate lawfully owned Bitcoin. Wow. I think anyone that's looking, for some sort of assurance at America being this sort of, the engine house financially of the world, looks at that and is like, wow, that is really a pivot to a new system.
The simplest way I can describe it is if you don't buy Bitcoin, you're destined for poverty.
Yeah.
Right? It's a really harsh statement, and I do not take any joy in making it. But Bitcoin is going to be one of the biggest wealth transformation events of our lifetime. Collectively over the last 5,000 years, different civilizations have kind of agreed on gold and silver as money. You had, Chinese societies, Arab societies, you had European societies across different times and eras, all kind of coalesced around gold and silver being money, right? And that's how we saw value for a very long period of time, and I still see it like that. But Bitcoin, it's becoming that kind of collective understanding of value, which we had all kind of agreed upon 5,000 years ago, in different ways, shapes, and forms. So this is really interesting stuff. And what we're seeing here is the US is kind of just recognizing how inevitable Bitcoin is. And again, you got to understand that for the US government, the main thing that they're trying to do by forming this Bitcoin reserve isn't to just, pump up the price of Bitcoin. It's to actually bring in and shore up confidence in the US dollar. Because when the US government seized Russia's foreign exchange reserves during the outbreak of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, that was the first time in history where a world superpower, which has control of the world reserve currency, had then seized another nation state's foreign exchange reserves. Like even, for example, when the British and the Germans were destroying each other in the Battle of the Somme during World War I, their foreign exchange reserves were not touched, right? So that goes to show you how important it was not to mess around with other nation states' financial assets, even though that they were, in a full-blown world war, and there was a lot at stake. So this was a pivotal moment in world financial history, and a lot of people wanted to, a lot of nations, I should say, not people. A lot of nations were looking to de-dollarize and wanted to move away from the US dollar. Whether you're looking at Gulf states, whether you're looking at China, whether you're looking at the BRICS nations like Brazil, Russia, India, China, they wanted to move away from dollars. This is the easiest way to bring confidence back into the US dollar, is to be backing it by Bitcoin, which is this sovereign neutral monetary network. And amongst other things, of course, the value will go up because they're looking to buy 200,000 Bitcoins a year. The Bitcoin network can only produce 140,000 Bitcoins at current rates. If it was to go full hog, it can only produce 140,000 Bitcoins over the next couple of years. So one buyer, the US government, is going to buy up more than the entire network can produce, just one buyer. There's not enough supply to meet the demand. Therefore, basic economics 101, price moves up to service higher demand and a fixed supply asset.
This is nuts. Rami, did you have something to say?
I was just wondering about China and the BRICS. Are they...
I hope you enjoyed that particular clip from my conversation with the crypto guys at Stormrake. Again, I'm a big fan of crypto. I think that it was a really interesting conversation we had in giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly with regards to the industry. But these guys can help hold your hand in the particular industry and show you some tactics, help you understand when to go, when to not go, and understand the fundamentals of the particular industry as well. If you want to open an account with them, click the link in my description, click the link in my bio, and you can get started today with no matter how much or how little you want to go in with. I'll see you guys later.